Hello everyone, this is Tom Fox and I'd like to welcome you to episode 79 of the FCPA Compliance and Ethics Report. Today it is my distinct pleasure to visit with Brian Ching, who is the General Manager of the Houston Dash, Houston's entry into the National Female Soccer Professional League. I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you very much.
We are recording.
Great.
So, hello everyone. This is Tom Fox, and welcome to this week's episode of the FCPA Compliance and Ethics Report. It is my distinct pleasure to have today Brian Ching. Brian is the General Manager of the Houston Dash. Brian is one of Houston's top sports heroes. He has just retired from the Houston Dynamos and gone into the front office, and he has agreed to visit with us today on some of his thoughts and his experiences on leadership. So, Brian, I really appreciate you coming on and visiting with us.
Thanks for having me, Tom. Thanks for the intro.
Brian, many of my listeners are lawyers and compliance officers, and although they may be from across the globe, they may not be as familiar with you as I am. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of where you grew up and how you got to Houston?
I grew up in Hawaii, dreaming of becoming a professional surfer. My dad was a beach boy. My mom, we lived on the beach on the North Shore of Oahu. So obviously my first love was the ocean. And the way I really got into soccer was we were driving home from school one day, and my mom said, "Why don't you play a sport?" And obviously we were just like, "What sport? Other than surfing?" She was like, "Soccer." Well, and we didn't know anything about soccer at the time. I was about 7 years old, and I was kind of a shy kid. So I said, "Hey, if you coach, I'll play." And so that's kind of how my soccer career started. After that first year, I really fell in love with the sport and just kind of stuck with it. But like I said, my first love was always surfing, so I was doing that on the side. And at one point, my mom was like, "If you want to go away to college, you're going to need to get a scholarship to help me out." And so, I looked at my options, and I was like, my best chance is soccer. I think I'm good at soccer. I love it. And so, that's when I really dedicated myself to getting better at soccer. I was using it as a tool to get to college. Obviously, the MLS, which is the top tier soccer division in the United States right now, didn't even start until 1995, which I was a senior. And so, obviously I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship in soccer, and I wanted to use that to help pay for college. And I went into the college with thinking what would be the best degree I could get. And at the time I liked business, I liked numbers, and so I thought accounting was that for me. And so, it wasn't until my junior year of college that I really looked at soccer as being a possibility for me as a profession. I always was using it as a tool, like I said before, to get where I wanted to go, and that was a college degree. And my junior summer, I was invited to play with the LA Galaxy for a summer, kind of 2-week period, just kind of a tryout, kind of a look. And I went down there and played really well. And that's when I thought, hey, I think I can do this for a living. And so as soon as I graduated from college, I got drafted by the Los Angeles Galaxy, and I've been playing professional soccer ever since.
You mentioned you grew up in Hawaii. I assumed you had to come to the mainland to go to college. I read in your bio that you attended Gonzaga. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I went to Gonzaga University. It was my only athletic scholarship, and it was a good school. The thing about Gonzaga for me was it was a small school, a Jesuit school. Where I could get a great education and continue to play soccer. Some of the challenges, obviously, for me at Gonzaga were the weather, the environment, and going from one season to 4 seasons was a bit of a change for me, but one that I always wanted to experience. And for me, going to college was getting away from Hawaii, getting off the island. And, Hawaii is kind of like a small town and small town mentality, and a lot of people kind of get stuck there and never leave. But I wanted to kind of see what was out there and experience the world, and it was one of the reasons why, I did go up there to Gonzaga, was to experience something different.
After your tryout with the Galaxy, did you sign on with them, or did you go on with another team?
So I had that. It wasn't really a tryout. It was just an opportunity to train with a professional team, and for an opportunity for the Galaxy to kind of see a player that would be coming out of college in the next couple of years. And I continued to play well after I went down that summer. And when I graduated from college, the LA Galaxy drafted me. I went there, didn't really have the year I wanted or the year that they expected from me, because I had to learn how to become a professional and learn how to be confident in myself and my abilities. And so I learned that lesson throughout that season and started really to come on strong the ending of my first year as a pro. Unfortunately, it was a little too late, and I got kind of cut and went to play in Seattle, which was in the second division at the time. And because of those lessons I learned my first season with the Galaxy, it really helped me with my confidence. And after that 1 year in Seattle, I came back up to the MLS by being picked up by San Jose, and basically my career kind of went on the up ever since that first season with the Galaxy.
And then from with San Jose, then the move to Houston. Can you tell us about your career as a player then?
For me, it was, that first year with the Galaxy, I really learned a lot. I learned on how to become a professional player. There were stars in that team like Alexi Lawless, Kobe Jones, Robin Frazier, Luis Hernandez from Mexico. And what that year really taught me was how to become a professional, how to act like a professional, and how to do the things off the field, not only on the field, but off the field, to make yourself successful. And because of those lessons that I learned and carried those things with me, they really helped me become a better professional every year after that first season. And the move to Houston was a great opportunity, not only for myself, but for our club to kind of get a fresh new start in a big city, and kind of establish ourselves from the beginning. And I think one of the things that we did to become a major sports player in the city of Houston, compared to what we did in San Jose, is I think we got out in the community as soon as we got here. We were definitely approachable athletes. We wanted to help grow the game. We wanted to help grow our fan base and kind of teach the city of Houston what the MLS was all about and what we were all about as a brand. And our coach, Dominic Kinnear, assembled a great group of guys that understood what it took to win on the field and also understood what it took to win off the field. And those were by, like I said before, being accessible, getting out into the community, being a part of the community, giving back to the community, and making the community really feel that they were a part of our team and part of our family. And I think we did a great job those first few years, and continue to do a great job with that.
I'd really like to focus on that, because that's a big part of the role of someone in my profession, of being a part of the overall corporate community. And you said something that really resonated with me, which was being a part of the, let me see if I got it right, getting the brand out, getting the Dynamo brand out into the community. Because one of the things that struck me when I started going to the games, and frankly, I got dragged there, not kicking and screaming, but I got dragged there because I have an English wife, and she wanted to go see football. and she wanted to go see professional football, as she calls it. But what struck me was the enthusiasm of the fans and the enthusiasm of the Texican Army, And what you just said now ties it together for me, because you guys were out in the community selling the Dynamo brand, but making yourself accessible through your outreach with the fans. And how did you guys come up with the decision to do that, to go into the community, to make yourselves accessible to the fans?
I think, to be honest, it was the team that the coach had assembled. Just the type of players that he wanted to have on his team, to be a part of his organization. We didn't have any superstars, and I think that was what really kind of led us to being a successful team. We're a team that kind of fought for one another. We're a team that believed in the team, put the team first, and kind of, put our own personal agendas aside. And that those types of players that he did assemble played the game because they loved the game, played the game because they wanted to see the game become successful. They wanted it to become a top-tier league in this or sport in this country, and and they enjoyed going out in the community and meeting new people. And like when we moved here from San Jose, we really didn't, we weren't able to establish that, obviously because the team had been around for a while and other circumstances. But when we came to Houston, the city was, kind of curious about our team, and because of the type of players and the type of, the type of environment that was created around the team or within the team, that lent itself to people going out and doing things in the community. And it wasn't one of those things where the organization told us that we had to go out in the community and do these things. It was kind of an infectious thing within our team. One guy would go out and had created a Bald is Beautiful charity initiative. Another guy went out and did things with the Houston Zoo. Another guy went out and did houses for Habitat. And it was kind of one of those infectious things where we created a culture within the team that lent itself to giving back, to being accessible. There were autograph alleys outside the game where the players didn't necessarily have to go out and sign autographs, but once you saw a few of the guys on the team that had been there for a while, it would go out every game, talk to the fans, get to know the fans, and I think that was the best way to kind of, in growing our brand and getting people interested, is the more they feel that they're part of the team, then the more they care, the more they'll be in the stands, the more they'll bring their friends to games, the more passionate they'll be about the game, the more they'll get into every aspect of what's happening on the field and create that atmosphere. And I think that, because our coach brought in the right type of players with the right mentality, those leaders on the team, created a culture that when other people came into the culture, they really bought into it and believed in it, and I think that's why we were successful and continue to be successful as an organization.
If I could now, I'd like to switch over to the switch you've made, moving into the front office and with the Houston Dash. And now that you've explained a little bit in detail the types of things you guys tried to do and indeed did with the Dynamos, I think I understand a little bit more what I see you doing with the Houston Dash, or the community outreach, the events you have with community members, the lunches you have, the notifications I get about different events. It all now seems to make sense to me to create a buzz, to create enthusiasm, to tell the people of Houston, hey, we've got a women's professional soccer team. Come down, check us out. We've got some really talented athletes out here on the field that you should come down and watch.
Right. I think we found what was successful on the men's side, and obviously when you're creating a franchise, the biggest difficulty is getting people to get interested in it, to find reasons to come to the game. And I think that's why we try to emulate a lot of the things that were successful on the men's side as far as getting out in the community, doing a grassroots type of thing. Obviously, the money, our budget is not as big as it is on the men's side. So, you're going to rely a lot on your players. And in assembling our team, and one of the things that Randy and I talked about, Randy is the coach of the Dash, the women's team, was the type of players that we wanted to bring in. We wanted to have no egos. We wanted to create a team that was put the team first, a team that would work for each other, bond together, and be selfless in going out and promoting the game. And I think Randy, I'll give him all the credit because, to be honest, at the beginning I didn't know much about women's soccer. I could spot a good soccer player, but I didn't know about the talent that was out there like he does. And so, he, with that vision in mind, he created a team, and brought in all these players. And, I think we've done a good job so far he's done a great job of assembling that team, and that team being competitive from the start. We didn't want to be an expansion team and right off the first year. And, we had a tough game in our first game against the defending champions. We lost 1-0, but we saw a lot of positives in the sense that we felt like we should have got more out of that game. And obviously, we won our second game on the road, which is extremely difficult, for a franchise team to come out and lose at home, but come back the next week. And, I think that just goes to kind of the character of the team that he built, and the kind of qualities that we were looking for in players when we were assembling this team. And, like I said, like we touched upon earlier, our big goal is to get people interested. And the way we get getting people interested is creating these community-based programs where the women go out into the community, get the community to know about them, get them to be aware of them, and hopefully through that awareness and the programs, we touch a lot of people that come out and become passionate about it. And then once they're passionate about it, they'll kind of spread the word for us in a way. And we're kind of in the beginning phases of all that, and we're hoping that it'll be successful. We definitely need it to be successful in order for us and in order for the league to stick around.
Brian, I have to say this has gone in a direction I did not expect, but you've given me some great points. I really appreciate it. I've taken up probably way too much of your time already, but if I could just end by asking a couple of questions about some of the influences on you that you've had from some of your coaches regarding leadership and really the type of leader you're trying to be in a role as a general manager.
Well, first I'll start with what type of leader I'm trying to be. I'm trying to learn how to become a better leader. Obviously being a leader on a soccer team is different from being a leader, I think, in some aspects of an organization. I think I'm taking this year, my first year in the front office, to kind of really learn about the business, to learn about areas, to learn about the individuals in our, in our front office that we have in our organization. I think from before I was so focused on the team and the soccer side of things that I obviously wasn't able to come in and learn about what type of people we do have in our front office. And for me, I think I'm taking this year as a learning year in that sense, to learn about what things need to be done in our organization, where I can help out, where how I can influence others, what type of people we have in our organization. And so throughout my history, I think I've learned a lot of things from different leaders I've had in my past, and a lot of them are coaches. In college, I learned about the game. I learned how to watch a soccer game and learn from it. Learn from taking a step back and seeing yourself and how you interact with, I guess, with your players on the field. And so I learned, I think I learned kind of how to learn in one sense from my college coach and from my Dominic Kinnear on the men's game, my professional coach. I think I learned how to create an organization of like-minded individuals. I learned how to kind of instill that culture that you want to have to be successful, how to manage that, how to maintain that, how to get rid of people that, I'm not going to say bad people, but people that don't have the same vision or the same attitudes as the whole of your organization. And now I'm learning from the president of our organization on how he runs things, and and I think he's kind of more hands off. If this is your responsibilities, if you get them done, that's great, good stuff. If you don't, then you're going to find yourself without a job. So. I'd like to say I'm still learning a lot of things about leadership and constantly learning, and I'm always picking up books. First as a player, I read about professional athletes, and now I'm picking up books about leaders of organizations and trying to learn about different types of personalities and how to maybe influence those personalities. In a positive way, in a way that gets things done for your organization. So, as far as leadership goes, I think it's a continuing process. It's a process that I don't think I'll ever stop learning or wanting to learn about because there's so many different types of situations and so many different types of personalities out there that every situation and everything is there's a lot of different unique things. So. I think, like I said, for this first year, I'm trying to learn as much as I can before I really start to try to influence an organization in the way that I see is fit. And I've been blessed to step into an opportunity where the corporation does have a vision and a leadership in our president, and he has a vision. And so, it's right now it's how can I help that vision, and maybe I'll take more reins next year and try to help out where I can a little bit more. So I guess that's how I'm viewing things and have viewed things for the past 4 months that I've been in this job.
Okay, well, really appreciate it. You had some really great points that, believe it or not, are going to be very applicable to the compliance practitioner in my field. So I really appreciate you taking the time to visit with us, and hopefully I'll see you at a Dynamo and or a Dash game, Brian.
See you at the games, Tom. Thanks.
Thank you. Goodbye.